Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to set up your air acetylene torch to use for annealing metal or soldering your jewelry designs together. First I'm going to talk a little bit about safety. You want to make sure that if you have long hair it's pulled back, and you want to make sure that you don't wear any flowing sleeves or any scarves, anything that could catch on fire if it gets too close to the torch. So watch out for that. I also like to have a container of water on my bench just in case. And I like to have no burnables on my bench. No paper towels, no paper. Keep stuff like that off your bench. Alright, so I have a tank of acetylene under my bench. It's a B tank, also known as a plumber's tank. That refers to the size of the tank. On it there's a regulator with an on-off tank key, and right now it's on. And the gas will flow out of the tank and up this hose and into this handle. And the handle has a knob that will turn the gas on, turn it off, and adjust the size of my flame once it's lit. I like to keep that knob on the inside where I can control it with my thumb, because I'll have tweezers or a solder pick in my other hand. I like to be able to have this as a one-handed operation. I'm left-handed, so obviously I have it in my left hand. If you're right-handed, you'll flip it over and use the knob with your right thumb. Alright, now let's talk about torch tips. These are going to go on the end of the handle. We have a 3 for annealing and soldering large pieces of metal. So I have, I think it's like a 4 by 5.5 inch piece of metal. I would use a number 3 for annealing this. And then I have like a 3 by 3 square. I think I would use the 2 for this. Depending how much of a rush I'm in, I may go quickly to a 3. Anything in between these two sizes, I would use a 3. And then we have a number 1. I have this little guy here that's maybe 1.5 inches by 2 inches. I'd probably use a 1 to anneal or solder this size. And anything larger than this, I would go to a 2. And then the smallest tip, which is a 0, I would use for soldering fine, delicate things, maybe links to a chain that are thin wire. There's also a 00, but honestly, I have found them to be just about worthless. So what I'm using here are Smith's tips, and they're going to combine air with the acetylene to create our flame. So to put a torch tip onto the handle, just align it, push it in, give it a little twist so it's in securely. We don't want this to fall out once it's lit, and make sure that you tighten this nice and tight. Again, you don't want this to fall out once it's lit. Now to light, we're going to use a striker. If you're really careful, you can use a lighter, but if you're using a striker, you need to make a spark to light the gas. And I find sometimes the easiest way to do this is just to support the end of the striker on my soldering pad, and if I can get my thumb on top of that bar and push in while I'm sliding it across, I can get a pretty good spark. So you want to have the gas on enough to light, but you don't want it on so high that it's going to, I'll say, almost explode. So I usually say turn the gas on just enough so that only you can hear it. Now with a number 3 torch tip, the largest one, you do have to have the gas on a little higher than with the smaller tips. And there we go. And that lit perfectly. With the larger tip, actually with any of them, if the gas is too low when you light it, you may have an orange flame and a lot of black smoke, which is carbon. If that should happen, you want to turn the torch all the way off immediately and then just relight. What you just saw, if you notice a little bit of flame coming out the holes when I turn this off, that's normal. and you might hear a pop, and that's normal too. What's not normal is if I have flame, when the torch is lit, if I have flame coming out where the tip attaches to the handle, where the knob attaches to the handle, coming out these holes, coming out where the handle attaches to the hose, or anywhere on the hose. That is not normal. If that should happen, if you can get to the knob and turn off the gas, if it's anywhere beyond here, do so. Otherwise, you want to go right to the tank and shut the tank off. That'll cut off the gas supply and the flame should go out on its own. So always safety first. All right, so if I want to light the number 2, let's pop this on real quick. Push it in, tighten this, and yeah, I can light this with a lighter, and that works fine. There's also an electronic lighter. I don't have one here in my studio. But you just want to be careful that you don't melt the end of the lighter. And then you want to keep it away from your area where you're using a torch. Okay, so I have the gas on just enough so that I could hear it. I lit it. And now I can adjust it higher, turn it lower, and turn it off. I want to see if anything comes out. These holes, a little bit of flame, just a little bit. That's normal. Okay, when you're done using your torch tips, actually this is not a good thing to leave them out on your bench or your soldering pad. I have a container that I keep them in, standing upright, so I can just reach them. I have it off to the side. These have an O-ring in the bottom. If these get heated, they get ruined, and then the torch tips are no good. They're not cheap, so you want to take really good care of them. This number 3, I've had this for years. You can tell by how kind of messy and used looking it is. Also, the numbers of the torch tips are etched into the side. You can't see it on this 3. It's totally corroded. But and I don't know if you can even see it on the 2. But the 1, 2, and 3, the size is etched into the side of the torch tip. The 0, it's down here where the holes are. That's where you'll find the number 0. Okay, so that is how to set up your torch for soldering and annealing. Next video, I'll take you right into annealing, and then we'll have one on soldering. Hope this was helpful.